Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Tah Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Mahavishnu Goswami Niti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer one's respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Vyasadeva, the compiler, which has become the author. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By the regular attendance in the classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Jai Shri Sham. Hare Krishna. So I hope everybody is doing well. All of you are doing well. We are from different poles, Here we got our summer season. It's hardly summer. Today it was a bit hot actually. And we've got devotees who are from, say, let's say from India. They've got cold season, I hope there are cold there. I'm sure in Mumbai there's not much cold. I'm sure there is cold in northern India, in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab and in Delhi and all. It's very cold, which is good. It's very much needed. I remember last time we went to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan we were told, by those locals there, so it's going to become more cold. Because if it isn't cold, then that sarso, that seed, mustard seed doesn't grow. It was pretty cold. It was intense, So Vrindavan can be very hot and very cold. It was mentioned when Srila Prabhupada left for the Western world preaching, and Srila Prabhupada would live alone, live in the temple, Shri Radha Damodar temple. Today also Srila Prabhupada's small room is there with his bed, bed without mattress. So you would see that bed which has got jute, jute bed, sleep on it. And he would go out in the afternoon on summer. It was mentioned by some devotees there, they were remembering Prabhupada before departing. Said he would go out in Vrindavan heat, and in the afternoon he would go up to Yamuna River, and around the Yamuna River he would then place a stick, and he would circumambulate chanting Hare Krishna surrounding it, and all the young children of Vrindavan would join him in that kirtan, alone. Just imagine. He was alone then. And I'm sure our devotees would know this. I've mentioned many times. So I think the very first time when I went there, now the devotee of ISKCON are taking care of that small kutir of Prabhupada. And where Srila Prabhupada would cook also, the cooking area. And the Prabhupada would honor prasadam. And where he would sit down and honor prasadam, he could visibly see Srila Sanatana Goswami's kutir, samadhi. And in that samadhi, then Prabhupada would relish and eat it. Today, how ISKCON has become big. By that time, Srila Prabhupada, another devotee was remembering, they were living in the next temple, He said that one night, I was woken up by a person crying in the middle of the night. He would be sweeping the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. Now it is a very nice samadhi of Rupa Goswami, and so many other samadhis are there. At that time, there was not much of mud. So he would sweep there in the middle of the night, and he would cry, praying to, "Oh Rupa, my Guru Maharaj has instructed me to do something impossible. How will I do this? Please help me. Please bless me." So when you would hear this, the neighbor, somebody crying so loudly in the middle of the night, they remember he's our Abhay Charanaravind, Bhaktivedanta Swami. There was nobody then. He tried so hard to preach Krishna consciousness in India. Back to Godhead, he tried to distribute. Nobody would buy. And he fainted in Delhi heat, this summer. Just see, so cruel world. And now everybody is glorifying Prabhupada. For one glimpse of Prabhupada, we will give our lives. Is it not so? And there he was amongst us, and we neglected him completely, So, Srila Prabhupada had an intense desire there. He writes in his autobiography, it is mentioned, in his biography, excuse me, not autobiography, his biography, that when he would wake up early in the morning before the birds would wake up, he would do his chanting round. And then afterwards he would take a parikrama of the whole Vrindavan, walking in all the temples. And at the time he had one desire, thinking, how will I take this Vrindavan to the whole world? He had this intense desire in his heart. Because that's what his Guru Maharaj had instructed him, preach to the Western world. He was always thinking like this. How will I take this Vrindavan to the whole world? Will they understand? Will they listen to me? How will I do this? This was his intense desire. When he reached America, very initially, nothing was happening for a year and a half. He went back to Boston and to the ship, the senior ship company. He went back to the place, saying that when is the next ship coming, I'll have to go back again. Nothing was happening then, first months. He came so many times but did not board the ship. So the employee there said, Swamiji, you'll not board the ship. Why are you coming every time? Yeah. And in that he would sit in one park, and one person came and said, so you're from India? I said, yes. What do you do? He said, I'm sannyasi. And he said, I've got many temples. So when did you come? I said, just came now. You just came now, the person said, America. I said, yes. Prabhupada said, I came now. But I've got many temples, hundreds of temples, and there are thousands of my disciples in all these places. So this person looked at him and said, but you said you just came now. He said, yes. So then how can you have so many temples now and so many disciples? He said, that's true. They have not manifested yet. What separates us is time. It's very famous. And even Srila Gurudev departed from this material world on 25th of January 2010. A couple of weeks before that, Maharaj called us all to unveil the project. That's when some of the devotees got initiated. I took the name and asked, please, this is the time now. We can do it now. Now. And Maharaj at the time said, we'll be going soon. Maharaj said, my ticket, I've got my ticket in my hand. My train is going to come anytime. I'm ready. The ticket in my hand. Maharaj said, we all will meet again. What separates us is only time. Maharaj said the same thing. He was totally detached. Showed us detachment. It is so hard at times for this separation. Even though we feel the presence of Maharaj every moment in our existence, and all of you feel as well, it's very hard at times, That's when all these instructions which Maharaj gave, which we keep reproducing, keep telling everybody, these are like deities in front of us. And we cling on to those instructions somehow, so we can pass through this struggle of material existence, which is very difficult to overcome otherwise. So time. time separates. This is our discussion today. Who would like to say what is the topic of discussion today? What did I mention there? Yeah, nobody? What is the topic of discussion today?
So Kāla, the time factor, has many assistants. Who are they? And what actions do they perform?
Kāla. Thank you very much. Time. So, since time immemorial, human thinkers and big philosophers, big and small philosophers of human history, they have tried to understand time. What is time? How many of us spend time on time? I'm telling, not just passing thought while brushing or something. Really spend time. It means to sit down and think, and hours. Not while we are driving and all that. That we get passing this. You seriously think. Have you done it? Have you done it? If you've done it, it's very nice. That's the first thing. That's very interesting. So all these philosophers would think, so what is it? What is time? And then the question arises after that is, why does it exist? Is it not so? Why does time exist, man? And from where does it come? Where does it come from? And everyone is falling short of time. Always no time, falling short of time, this time, that time. Time. Nobody can see time. We can just perceive time, experience it. Experiencing in everything around us and with us too. When we grow old, don't think growing old means only growing old, having gray hair. It means since the time you are born, you are changing. Although you may grow in your size, but you're growing old. Is it not so? It's so stupid, is it not so? You're born, you're this much. You're growing in size, but you say, I'm growing old. Happy birthday to me. Then, afterwards, when you're so big, after a certain age, then you grow like this. You bend like this, you know. Time is fooling us. Time is fooling every one of us at every stage. We are happy about it's my birthday today and nobody wished me. We get upset. After a certain age, if somebody wishes you on a birthday, you get upset. Oh God. Time. God. So we all experience it around us. We experience within us. But this time does not have an effect in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Period. It exists as a servant of Krishna. So living beings over there in Vaikuntha, not just Golok Vrindavan, in Vaikuntha too, they exist in their form. As you want to love Krishna, they exist in their form. Even in very advanced scriptures I'd heard that even when you are eating, the cows eat grass. The grass are also alive. So grass are eaten and they're born again. Again come. Again they're eaten, again. Enjoyment with Krishna is eternal. No time. Just imagine this. No time. Because your service to Krishna is continuous. Because that is the only reason why spiritual world is different from material world. In the material world, we do service to ourselves. In the spiritual world, you do service to Krishna. And when you do anything in relation to Krishna, time doesn't have its influence. That's why even in this material world, devotees, they look a little different. They don't look that old. Yeah, so depending upon the level of surrender and service to Krishna, time stops. It doesn't stop. Time doesn't stop. But the effect on it reduces. So my question to all of you, we say time is equal to everybody. So we'll see how we will either do this program for 2 hours or do 1 hour. Let's see how things go, no? Depending upon our interaction at the different time. You know, I like to keep it interactive. Then I get very motivated to speak. At least with my own team. All of you know me. I know all of you very well. New people are different. I understand. That's why I like to see everybody's faces. So I have a question. We say time is equal to everybody. Correct? We say that. Yeah. Right. So question is time static or is time dynamic? What is your answer and why? I'll give you about 10 seconds, 20 seconds to think, and then you can respond. So is time static or is time dynamic? It's equal to everybody. And why is your answer? We'll wait for 10 seconds. So everybody has turned on their cameras, please. It's very important. Okay, 10 minutes, 10 seconds up. Who would like to answer this question? Is time static? Those who are watching us on YouTube, if you want to answer, you can also write down in the comment section, please. We'll highly appreciate the interactivity as well. Yes, don't make me ask you individually. Come on, start now. Let's see. Well, I've got somebody new as well. I don't know. Let's try somebody from new. Why? Sanjay Prabhu, is your Subhash Saini is from your team?
Yes,
Would you
Prabhu.
understand this? Is it okay to understand this, to answer the question?
You might answer in Hindi, but you can ask him. Yes.
Yeah, you can ask him for question if you understand in your way.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Subhash ji. Are you there?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम.
हरे कृष्णा. आपको प्रश्न समझ में आया जो प्रभु जी ने पूछा?
हाँ हाँ, थोड़ा क्लियर नहीं समझ में आया प्रभु जी, थोड़ा आप बता दीजिए.
प्रभु जी पूछ रहे हैं कि जो समय है वो
हाँ,
काल जो है, समय है, वो स्टैटिक है या डायनामिक है? स्टैटिक, अब हिंदी में स्टैटिक को कहेंगे कि मतलब वो समय सभी के लिए समान है, परंतु डायनामिक होता है कि उसके कई पहलू होते हैं उसके, एक किसी चीज के. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि समय के कई पहलू हैं या समय एक स्थिर है?
एक चीज में आगे जाता है, आगे चलते रहता है एक जगह पर.
मेरा तो प्रभु जी यही मानना है, समय तो स्थिर ही है। जैसे पहले जो निर्धारित हो गया है वही ही होना है संसार में, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं हो सकता।
तो स्थिर है, समय स्थिर है या समय बदलते रहता है, डायनामिक है?
प्रभु जी जैसे भागवत के अनुसार तो पहले जो देखते हैं तो यही, मेरा तो यही मानना है कि समय स्थिर है। तो भगवान भी यही कहते हैं, जो मैंने निर्धारित कर दिया वही ही संसार में होने वाला है। अपन चाहे कुछ प्रयास भी कर ले या ना भी करे, जो ईश्वर के हाथ में वही होगा। तो मेरा तो समय स्थिर मानता हूँ मैं तो।
ठीक है, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया, वेरी नाइस। अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके शुभम जी, आते रहिए, बात करते रहिए। हरे कृष्णा, वेरी नाइस, बहुत बढ़िया।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा। Yes, who would like to go next there? Who's next there? Those who have got switched off, I'm going to ask them first. Yes, Mother Suchi, what about you?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, are you switched off still or switched on still now? What is it? On or off? You're switched off or switched on?
I am switched off as of now. Just give me a minute. I was stuck up in something. I'm coming. I'm switching on my camera. So Prabhu, for me, time is dynamic.
And why is it so?
Because Prabhu, what I feel that time has many, like for me, because as an individual, I have many choices in a particular time, and many dimensions to it. And so, yeah, what I feel that, yeah, time is dynamic for me. Yeah. Because I have many choices that I could make in a particular time, and it is ever changing in nature.
Okay. Okay, very nice. Thank you. But show your face, okay? We'll catch you again. Otherwise. Right. Who would like to go next? Among all of you, please. Feel free. Jump in. Oh, don't do this now. Do you want me to ask you individually now?
Hare Krishna,
Go to
Prabhuji.
the school teacher. Yes, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to me, the time is very dynamic in its nature. It's very powerful, and with time, I think everything changes, with every heartbeat, our body changing. And as we see, as time progresses, everything around us is always keep changing. So anything and everything, even in economy, today's interest rates are something, today will change again. So
The topical interest rates for you. That's your pocket, so obviously it's going to be very important to you. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Yeah. So with time, Prabhuji is controlling everything and anything in his path. These are constantly introducing change in everything. So, and we cannot control time, it's controlling us. So it's always dynamic, Yeah.
Time is controlling us. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hari Bol, Maurisham. Yes, tell me.
And Prabhuji, I would like to apologize for not turning on my video, Prabhu.
Yes, you mentioned because of the bandwidth.
Prabhu. Yeah.
Bandwidth,
yes,
no
Prabhu.
problem. Just let us know. It's very important to let us know. There can be any reason. That's all right. Yeah. Please. What is your answer? What do you think? Is time static or time is dynamic?
Prabhuji, I think time is dynamic, Prabhu. As Shital Prabhu mentioned that time is affecting everything and everyone, and even the perception of time, it changes with different lokas. So like
Different
Dev
lokas.
lokas and Earth lok. So
Oh,
Prabhu, I think the time is dynamic.
okay. Okay. Different lokas, huh? Wow. You become big pundits, huh? Very good, very good. Very good. All answers are right answers. I just want to hear things, for everybody, please. Please.
Hare Krishna Babuji. Yes, I also think that time is dynamic, because it's got affects, like sometimes from my experience, like sometimes time goes very fast, and sometimes like if you are not happy, and you are very
Miserable.
miserable.
Down.
If you are in a miserable condition, it's like one moment is like a year,
Hmm.
So yeah, so you're experiencing differently,
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. Answer the same, but explanations are getting different. It's very good. Very good. Very good. Yes, please.
Very well. I also think that time is dynamic. Because, for example, people or different species and different entities experience time in different ways. So for a small insect, what would be one day for us would be their entire life. And so it's relative. Time is really relative, depending on what species or what animal or what entity you are, and in that way it's dynamic.
Interesting. So time is dynamic based upon time, or based upon the material body we have got. What do you think? Others who are going to answer the question. I'm adding something more. So if you've got time, which affects different bodies differently, but time is a time. 24 hours, 24 hours. So is it dynamic or is it static? It's common to everyone. So what is it? Go to the philosophers too, Yes, very well.
Yes, Roger. I was thinking around the same things, that I'm a bit confused between the two stances, because yes, time is dynamic, time changes, it changes for everyone. Even within life, you have good times, you have bad times, you experience times differently. But then is it like an effect of time, or is it effect of how we perceive it? As in, it's same for everyone, but change is a part of our material bodies. So it's not, time is a factor, but does time actually affect people individually? But I'm very confused as to both the stances.
Yeah, that's my role. When it became very simple, I made it confusing. So tell me, when Sanjeev Prabhu says, when you're miserable, time goes slow. When you're not miserable, time goes fast. But time is 24 hours. Is it static or dynamic?
It's not that time is making you miserable or happy. Time is just time.
That's right. So what is it? Is it dynamic? Sanjeev wants to change his point now. Change his stance.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Your answer?
It's a bit confusing now.
I thought, how can it be so simple? I will put some twisting. It's difficult to deal with me, Ask my son, my wife, will tell you. Yes, sorry, Mother. Please continue. Devanshi Mother, continue.
Yeah, no, I was as I said, even with that point, that small ants and small insects, there are one day is their whole lives. But then again, it's depending on their body. It's time is time. Just because they perceive it differently does not mean that time in itself is different for them. but I am honestly very confused. I don't know.
So there is no third answer. We have to create one third answer. I don't know. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now, anyone like to come in, or you got afraid now? Others have been afraid now.
Krishna. Am I audible?
Haribol.
Am I audible? Hare Krishna.
Yes, you're audible. And we can see you also, your moon-like face. Yes, so you tell me.
Yes, Prabhu. So I think time has some factors to it. So some of them are dynamic, some of them are static. For example, I like to say the static part of time is its irreversibility, that you cannot reverse time. Second static part of it is, as the famous saying goes, that change is the only constant. So as time progresses, things are bound to change. So that is another constant thing about time, which is change. So I think these two are the static points. Apart from that, the dynamic aspect of time is, if you consider time as flow, so the experience of the flow might be dynamic, as already other devotees pointed out. So yeah, that is my 2 cents.
So what you're saying is that you can't change the past, so it is static. Okay, but it is flowing, so it is dynamic. So it has got 2 different natures. So the different natures become static or dynamic. What would you call it?
Prabhu, I think it's a hybrid. I honestly think it's a hybrid because some of the factors of it are static, and the experience, although, is dynamic. So if you are to consider time as an entity, like as an individual independent entity with no observer, then time was static. But if you put an observer in the system, then that becomes dynamic, because the experience of time is dynamic, not time itself. So my answer
So what is the
would be
answer?
that
Static.
static, yeah.
Good. So we evolved you from mixed to static. Very nice. Good evolution. Okay. Right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Right. Who'd like to go next, please? Anyone? This is getting interesting. I want to wind up in 2, 3, but looks like we have to go a bit more.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol.
I feel that time is dynamic in material world, but time is static in spiritual world. And because time cannot affect anything, and and also the time is energy of Krishna. So I feel in material world it is dynamic because everything has got an age. But in spiritual world there is no time, so time is static. So that's what I feel.
Okay. So spiritual world, time doesn't have an effect on living beings. So it is static there. But in the material world, time has got effect on people. So it is dynamic. That's what you're saying. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Who would like to go next? Your opinion is very, very important to us, for everyone's knowledge. Don't think that it is right or wrong. It is how you think that's important. Because we want everybody to think. That's what I want to do. We cannot become sheep. We have to become tigers and lions, or independent. As Srila Prabhupada says that independently thoughtful. Yes, we can make our own decisions, on the knowledge that we receive from Parampara. Yes, who would like to go next, please?
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Breaking, I think. So I was just thinking, Srila Prabhupada quotes this time and again, right? Time, place, circumstance. So there are 3 factors: time, place, and circumstance. which are different. So I think it's dynamic in that sense. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada would have just said place and circumstance and not use time. So I feel that, and we also have this quote, in Hindi, "Samay samay ki baat hai." Like, so sometimes the good times are there, as Vivanshi Mataji mentioned, and bad times are there. So yes, so I think it's very relative, and I don't think you can separate time and the experience and our experience with time. You can't say that time is separate. Like, I feel personally like that. You can't separate it out, because something that relates to you. So you can't say, oh, time by itself is something, and when it's attached to us and it's something else. No, I feel it's a part of us. So it's very relative. And I also feel that we also have this quote that, that right now the time is good for the person, or right now the time is bad for the person. This quote also is there in Shastra as well, that right now, so when there are situations where, for example, Krishna would advise not to, so for, when Krishna was, if somebody had to be killed, then he would do that at the right time. So I think in that sense also changes. So if it was static, then it would be the same every time, right? You would have the same experience. I think we have to define time first. What's the definition of time?
Okay, thank you. So what is the answer?
It is dynamic, definitely. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have said time, place, and circumstance.
In why dynamic?
Because so we act as per, like in preaching, you act as per time, place, and circumstance. And which means that time, place, and circumstance are three factors which are ever changing. If it was
time is not changed.
Sorry?
Time is not changed. Time remains the same.
Time changes. Always time changes.
No, but time changes for you. It may not change for somebody else. For somebody else, changes different way. Time is the same. It may change for you differently. It may change for other person differently.
Yes, that's why I feel that you cannot separate. You can't say that time is a separate entity and you have no connection with time. When you're,
so is time static or time
yes.
Is time dynamic or your karmas are dynamic?
Time is always dynamic. Okay. Time is always dynamic.
Okay, thank you very much.
And so, like, as Path Prabhu, he mentioned this time, and he was like, time as a separate entity, and then our experience with time as a separate phenomena. I feel like you can't separate the two for some reason.
Okay, thank you very much. So, what is good for you may be bad for your enemy. That's why it's dynamic.
Very related.
That's possible. That's all right. All answers are right answers. That's correct. Does it make it dynamic? Does it make it static? Why? Hold on a little fast to recover some grounds, You think it is too much for you, that's fine, understandable. This is intellectual philosophical discussion. Philosophers have spent so many lifetimes understanding this, and they've concluded nothing. There's no conclusion for them. Okay, we'll wait for 10 more seconds for people to respond. Continue.
Prabhuji, I think, in my opinion, time is static. Because time doesn't change. It's how our bodies respond to time that changes. That's what I think. Because one breath we have taken is gone, but It's not the time. Time is still there, but it's our body, how it reacts with time. That's what changes. So according to me, it's static, Prabhuji. I may be wrong, but yeah, that's what I think.
No, that's all right. It's our understanding. As I said, there is no right or wrong answer. It's a philosophical discussion, So how we see things, yeah.
Yes, because also, like in Bhagavad Gita, that verse where Krishna says that this knowledge was spoken to, it was existing before, but then because of time, it was lost. And then he again gave that knowledge to Arjuna. So it's just how people react with time is different, but time doesn't change. That's what I think. And it's energy of Krishna. So why should it change?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So you agree with Path Prabhu's. So the point which you said was when we added this point that people's experience would change. So is time changing, dynamic or static? So he changed to static, you changed static, my wife says dynamic, the same answers to that. Right. Very interesting. Very good. Very good. Right. Others want to jump in? Yes, please. Please jump in. Thank you.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I agree with Saraswati Mataji. I feel like the time is also static, but it's it changes for person to person. For example, like Prabhuji, I would say we work every day 8 hours, but there are some days we are busy at work and it feels like it's going so fast. And sometimes we are not busy and then something happens and some doesn't work, then it's why time is not going today. It's like that. And so it's like
5 o'clock
situation.
Go home.
Yes, it's like situation. Sometimes we feel the weekend goes so fast and weekdays going so slow because we're working.
Always.
Yeah. And then sometimes Prabhuji, we are so happy and sometimes sad. So that time also changes from sad to happiness. As Krishna said, the matra sparshyastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada. Sorry, Prabhuji, I just aham tam sarva.
No.
Agama pahito nitya.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm taking time.
Doesn't matter. 2:40. Yeah.
Yeah. Matra sparshyastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadam agava pavanamo nityas.
Nityas.
Tam stitiksha.
Bharata.
Subharata.
Bharata. Very good.
Sorry.
Very good.
I say that the happiness and sad comes and goes. Just I remember the translation from Navina actually. Shall we see this?
Yeah.
Happiness and sadness comes and go just like winter, just like summer melts the winter snow. Like it comes and go like that. But we have to tolerate with the time. So I just remember all those things, Prabhuji, when you start to talk the discussion about the time. So the time is both static and dynamic, just I feel. It's depend on our situation and circumstances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Wonderful. So those who are once again following us on YouTube. Sorry. Yep,
so I have a question for both Saraswati Mataji and Namrata Mataji.
We got a debate here.
If you're saying time is static, then are you saying that past, present, and future, everything is same? You're just thinking of that 24 hours in a day. That is your time. That's how you're perceiving it. Then if it is static, then and the references you're giving is contradictory to what you're saying. Because Krishna says like what happened in the past, what is happening in the present and the future, it's not going to be the same. So how is it static then? Sorry, Mataji.
So,
Good question,
so
Mataji.
that's what, Mataji, I think, because time is existing forever. It's not, but we are coming and going. So it's...
But that doesn't make it static.
So time
is something that stays in one place, and when it's dynamic, it means flowing. It will remain. Something can remain forever, but it can be dynamic because it's flowing. Otherwise, we all will be there. Where we are born, we're just there. I feel like that.
It's very complicated.
That's why all these philosophers spend so much time, you know. That's why
Prabhu is saying something. Yes, Prabhu.
That's why the philosophers, it's complicated because that's why the philosophers they are very, you know, gray hair and big glasses and all this. It's crazy, you know.
I think you should add one more. Time is complicated.
Well, I actually thought, how do I do this? You know, should I have a debate and all? We'll see how it goes, you know. It's got everything. Time is everything. It had simple answers. It's a debate as well. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji is constantly flowing, you know, as Mataji said. Is some people might think it's static, but it's constantly flowing. I remember Srila Prabhupada's quote where he said, among all kinds of killer, time is ultimate, you know, it kills everything. So in a material world, it's always chasing, you know, all the living entities. And no matter what we try, we cannot actually slow it down. So it's always changing, Prabhuji, everything, everyone.
Hare.
You guys have your turn, man. Come on, you can't keep changing things.
I'm not changing anything. I think Pat will say something, but I'll just quickly say this. I think the nature of the question is meant to be confusing, I think, because we haven't defined what static and dynamic mean, because everyone's giving different definitions of static, different definitions of dynamic. So I understand where both are coming from, but we have to establish a definition first, because static doesn't actually, to me, literally mean static. Static means that, you know, time can move, time can go in a linear fashion. That's what the difference is between dynamic and, you know, static, is that it's linear or dynamic. So that has to be established first before we continue, I think. But anyway, very well. I think Pat will say something as well.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we should move on now. Unless somebody is very itching to say, don't dream of me. That Ambrish, allow me to speak. But please, if you have this, don't, please, we are happy to hear. We want to hear. It's not that, see, a person, if he speaks, he's hearing his own thoughts. But if you're listening, he's hearing someone else's thoughts. So I'm very interested, and I'm sure everybody's interested to hear everybody's thoughts, you know? Yes, please. We'll wait for 10 more seconds. We've got time.
Patru, you can say what you wanted to say.
Hey, Krishna, no, I agree. You said what I wanted to say. So yeah, that's covered up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was also going to say the same thing that Krishna Prabhu said, that static and dynamic need to be defined, that static does not mean that it stays the same thing. And also I would like to agree to Purna Pragya Mataji's that one point, that we need to define time in itself, if it's separate from how we perceive it, or if it's not separate from how we perceive it. That's a very complicated
time. So what is time? Okay, all of you saying that's right. So define time. Become philosophers. What is time? If you can define time, so definition meaning you can define. Define meaning what? It's 6 foot is definition. 7 foot is definition. You know, intelligence is defined by IQ so much, you know. But where you cannot define what to do. You cannot compress it down into some words to define time. We can't even define a person's character, is it not so? Ambrish is, an arrogant person. But others said, but in certain situation, he is not. No? But he was like this, but he is like that. So it's very dynamic. Everything is very dynamic. How do you define time?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So that way it becomes so subjective.
Okay,
that
we'll take the next step. Okay, right, great stuff. Yes. Please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay.
Please.
So, Prabhuji, what I feel that it is by everybody's discussion about time, it is actually very subjective then. That everybody will define time according to their own thinking, according to their own way they define. Like for me, it was dynamic because of choices that we make. For somebody else, and I agree to everybody's point. So does it become so subjective in nature? So is that way I agree to what the Prabhujis were saying, that it is static but dynamic. But then, yeah, so there has to be some things or some parameter of definition or some parameter to judge time then.
Yeah, so judge it.
Becomes,
define parameters. Do it. Can we do it?
no,
Has anybody able to define parameters
subjective.
for time? Yeah.
It's very subjective. If I will define one parameter, then the other person will going to say, no, that's not my parameter of how I look. That's as it is said, that person's perspective change according to their.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. Absolutely right. So we cannot define time. Since time immemorial, we started discussion by saying that we cannot define time. That since time immemorial, thinkers and philosophers have tried to understand time. To define time, we have to understand it first. It's very difficult. Now, see, we discussed in our points. Some of you mentioned that the time would go, all of you actually, slow when we are in a particular mood, or when the mood changes, it goes in a different pace, But time is the same pace. It goes slow and fast depending upon what we are experiencing, So, like for example, when we are all kids, as children, remember, does time go fast or slow? I have a question. What do you all think?
Super fast.
When small kids, I'm talking about small kids. If you remember, you're small. I will remember. So
super fast.
Time goes fast or slow for kids? For kids, not for parents.
It goes super fast.
Super fast for kids.
Yes. When you're old, then you realize, how the time is gone.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is, when we are children, when a child experiences time going fast or slow?
Slow, very slow, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I think so. It is slow. Parents think that time has gone very fast. When you were a small child, now grown up now,
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
As a child, I never thought about time. I'm surprised.
No, but as adults,
as a child, you thought about time. I never thought about time as a child.
No, we all thought about time. I'll tell you why. I'll give an example to you. There is a reason why I asked this question. You see, I'll give my example. During my childhood, I used to always go to every summer, go to my village. It's a big city now. It's a village called Navsari. A very nice palatial house, very nice, beautiful. My grandparents are very loving. In the summer season, because it is a May season, we used to go in summer season, in school holidays. So we would have our lunch and all that. And my grandmother, I remember my grandfather, see, when at that stage, may not be really Vanaprastha, but he was Vanaprastha. He would stay separately in a separate room, downstairs, completely different. He would come up only to do some work, talking what needs to be done, and then go back again down. That's it. He was not sit around with everybody and, reading newspapers and all those things. He doesn't do that. He would come in the evening to listen to news, come back down, doing his things, So in the afternoon, as we would finish our lunch, and it would go very hot, summer season then. And I remember we would close the curtains and even the windows too. It would be 35, 38, 40 degrees, and switch on the fan, and we would sleep on the floor, granite floor. So it would be cool there to sleep. And I would always tell, and we say, now we'll sleep from this time, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 3:30, something like that, 3 o'clock, 3:30, And I'll tell, what is the time? Like a small child, And so it's just 5 minutes, it's 1:05. Go to sleep. And I'll sleep again, And then after about 2-3 minutes, what is the time now? I was not sleeping, And then you're awake, you're asleep, you want to sleep now, please. And I'll think, why does time go slow, so slow, It's always the case. So the time would go slow as a child, for a child, but for parents, time goes very fast. As you grow older, times go fast. Time is the same. Our perception is different. How we experience this is different. This has been my experience. You can tell yours also for the same thing. So also many of you discussed the point, as we discussed in the past, that for different bodies, the same 24 hours goes in different ways. Like for small insects and birds, a 24-hour cycle is a cycle of whole life. They are born, in one night they are born, they will have, nice childhood, they grow teenager, they'll have girlfriend or boyfriend, they'll get married, they'll have 50 kids, and out of the 50 kids, then they will have some matrimonial disputes. The kids will become teenagers, they'll then run away from the house, somebody will study, somebody will not study, and then morning comes, they die. Finished. So for them, 124 hours is huge. For a human being, it's not 24, it's 12 hours. For a human being, is sleeping. He doesn't even know that these people are coming and dying, they are sleeping nicely. Beautiful, You see, so many of you mentioned this point too, which is correct. On same earth, birds also live, they don't live for 100 years, 50 years. Some live for about 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and the life is finished, So life goes in a different way. There are some insects who sit in one place for so many days. You seen it? They just don't move. In one place, they're sitting nicely, and they die. Same 24 hours. So time, to define time, to understand time, it's very difficult because, as I said, to define meaning what? To define length and breadth. He is so many meters tall, or so many inches tall, or etc. Whatever. This is 35 inches. My kurta is of 42 inches, and all those things. XL is definition. XL size, L size, M size. Double XL size. The definition. You can't define time as double XL. Or XL, or a M, or small. We can't do that. Very difficult. Yeah. But what is interesting is this, that what we are discussing today, what has been discussed right now, has become memory. Yeah. Full stop. Doesn't exist anymore. It existed. Whatever we discuss, I discuss, you discuss, becomes memory for us, for me, and for all of us, till our death. We may remember this discussion probably, some of us may remember, till our death. With our death and the death of our near ones, everything known about us perishes. Finished. Time takes away everything. See, we all had our father, mother, grandfather, grandmother. We all have our great-grandfather too. Don't go too far away. We all had our great-grandmother too. How many of us know about our great-grandfather and great-grandmother? Nobody. We would love to, but people who knew about our great-grandfather, father's father's father, a mother's mother's mother, and great-grandmother, they all are not there now to tell us anything about them. At the most, our grandparents would say that yes, your grandfather, great-grandfather was like this. You know? But with those near and dear ones, everything is lost. What they liked, what they disliked, what were their qualities. Everything that is important to us today would be remembered by us and our near and dear ones in first generation, maybe second generation, if you're lucky. In India, it's still existing. Western world doesn't exist. But third generation and fourth is very hard. Great-great-grandfather, so what about their father, uncles, aunties? Nothing remains. Nothing remains because time perishes with all living entities, all living beings of that era who loved them. When they perish, everything goes away. The memory is also wiped out. Whatever they knew about them, all finished. And it is for everybody. Time destroys everything. Kāla destroys everything. Very depressing, is it not? Nobody is spared for this. The thing is that time is created by Krishna in this material world. Everything is born in this material body, has to be affected by time, and that time then destroys this material body and everything that is matter. Everything that is matter decays. I remember giving class of Srimad Bhāgavatam in the temple in Auckland, and I mentioned this point, that time affects matter in everything. So carbon, you can talk carbon, but for other parts of the world, material world, carbon may be defined differently, you know. So inside the body, that is the meaning of the sentence, that inside the body, us, that we always feel Nava-Yauvana, always feel young. As once Guru Maharaj was telling me, you know, we finished the Bhagavatam class, morning program was all over, children came, this prayer were done, you know, Maharaj, please hear us, and all these prayers for the school kids, they all went, and Maharaj was sitting, and Maharaj was telling me this. It is a most invaluable discussion. Those times are very, very invaluable. He says, I feel some days I can conquer the whole world, you know. Because Maharaj was at that time, understand, 88, 89, you know. It was official. Unofficially, I would say more. You know? He said, other days I cannot. My body doesn't move, doesn't allow me to. My legs don't move. He said, the biggest thing in old age, legs refuse to move. I can see so many things to be done, Maharaj said. Can't do anything. Means in the temple and all, for construction, we're talking about temple construction of Rajkot at that time, you know. So Maharaj understood this time very well. And Maharaj appreciated this and instilled upon everyone Maharaj knew to appreciate the value of time. Especially devotee staff. Because in this whole depressing scenario, where everything that is important to you, maybe your children would remember. Maybe your children would tell their children. But when your children dies, their children have not seen you. If they're not seen you. If they're seen, they'll know a little bit about you. When they also die, nobody has seen you. Your own generation, your own genes, own genealogy, finished. This is how cruel this material world is. I said, we want to know about my father's father's father or father. I can't know. No way to know. Or mother. No way to know. That is why I started my discussion by saying, in the spiritual world, time doesn't have its influence. So that is why when we love Krishna, we are not overwhelmed by these depressing thoughts. Why? Why are we not overwhelmed? Because we see things in positive lights. And what is a positive light? Positive light is when Krishna, after showing his universal form, he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi Loka Shayakrut Pravruddho Lokan Samahartam Iha Pravruttha Rute Pitvam Na Bhavishanti Sarve Yevastitaha Prati Anikeshu Yodhaha. You see, he says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the personality of Godhead says, the first line he says, Kalosmi. First two words, he answers the question and gives us relief. He says, Kalosmi. See, Kalo, Asmi. Meaning what? Kal means time. Asmi means I am. Haribol! Krishna is time. The one whom we love so much, he is the time. He is the man. Kalosmi loka kshayakrut pravruddho. So he says this. Time I am. Loka, the world. Kshakrut, destroyer. Before the first line finishes, he answers a question. So time I am, destroyer of the worlds. Full stop. So translation, he says, the blessed Lord said, time I am, destroyer of the worlds. And I've come to engage all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Now, that father of atom bomb, Oppenheimer, I hope I'm pronouncing his name. What is it? Oppenheimer?
Robert Oppenheimer.
Could you repeat again, please?
Robert Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Robert Oppenheimer. Thank you. So he must be a good philosopher too, apart from inventing the atom bomb. He mentioned this. Lord Vishnu says in the Bhagavad Gita, now I have become time, the destroyer of worlds. Just stay with the thought a little. Suddenly, all the thoughts about our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, all these parents, they vanish. It's completely finished. Because there's not much of a use there. When we are worshipping Krishna, or dear Lord, whom we whom we have given our everything according to our capacity and our devotion. He is time, destroys everything. So let him destroy me. Better he takes me away when I'm young, you know. Better take me now. Now, the same message today, what we are discussing today. Sorry, what is this disturbance here? Whatever we are discussing today, if it is remembered by all of us, who in turn would teach their next generation, may not be necessarily their own children, but younger people, who in turn teach the younger people, who in turn teach the younger people, then the thought continues. That's never taught. That is called parampara. There is a parampara is needed. You understand this point? So just like when we were young, not that we are very old now, but we had carried this knowledge from Maharaj. And we were assimilating this knowledge so much that one day I will give this knowledge to people who come to me. We try our level best to give. Similarly, we hope and pray that you will give this knowledge to your younger generation. Your tutors have trained you so nicely. So you become tutors one day, you will teach. And then instill upon them this importance of parampara, what we discussed today, the time factor. And this, they will teach, and they will teach, and they will teach. And this parampara will continue. This is how it will continue. Now, Kāla, or the time factor, has many assistants. That was my discussion. Can you repeat after me, please? Recite this verse. Kāla. Please repeat after me. Now, if you switch off your mobile, you're listening, I can't hear you. So you unmute yourself, please. Come on, all of you. So repeat after me. Kāla.
Kāla.
Svabhava.
Svabhava.
Very good. Samskara.
Samskara.
Kama. Karma. Ganadibhihi. So these first two lines, the definition has come for us. Kāla svabhava samskara. Kama karma gunadibhihi. Guna adibhihi. Swamahi. Swamahi. Vasta. Mahibhir. Murti madbhir. Upasitaha. Okay, very nice. We'll recite this a little later on because we invested a lot of time in our discussion. So I need to move a little fast. That's okay. You can switch off now. You can put yourself on mute. Kāla svabhava samskara. Please repeat after me in your own, muting yourself. Kāla svabhava samskara. Kama karma gunadibhihi. So Kāla is time. Svabhava. What is the meaning of svabhava? Svabhava means one's own nature. See, which one gets by one's association of material nature. That's why some people are very enthusiastic, some are not. We get our own nature depending upon our own actions. To be understood here. So Kāla, time, Swabhava, one's own nature, Samskara, samskara meaning reformation processes. And reformation is done as samskar ceremonies also, like when before a woman begets a child, there's samskar ceremony. And when she becomes pregnant, and before the birth happens, there's samskar ceremony. They're very auspicious things, actually, these are. Very auspicious. Similarly, samskar also means the training that has been given by the elders to the children. You see, we are born as rascals and fools in ignorance. We have to be trained. That's why, depending upon our past karma, we take birth in particular family. And then we associate with different people. We get samskaras. That's why they say, no, if somebody is not very, it's like a vagabond, or somebody say, well, you don't have, your parents have not given you proper samskar. India, they tell you even now, Western world, you don't have these things. It's very poor, very unfortunate. So the swabhav, one's own, swa means own, bhava means nature. One's own nature. Then samskaras, which has been given. Then kama means desires. You see, based upon our swabhav, our nature, based upon the samskaras that we have received and how we use it, how we use the samskaras. See, the elders or the parents would give the same samskara to all the siblings, but some may take very nicely, some may not take nicely. Some may not use properly. That is based upon the swabhav, one's experiences and interactions with matter. So swabhav, samskara, they derive our desires, kama. And this kama, desires, create our karma, actions. And this is all the interactions of guna, adivi. The three modes of material nature. So time, Kāla, has got assistance. It's very interesting. Because we discuss all this, it'll become easier for us to understand that how as a small child, time was going slow. How that other living beings who are smaller, time goes in a different pace than a human being for 24 hours. Similarly, as I think somebody mentioned, Maharishwa mentioned that in the higher planets, as we all know, time goes in a different pace. Same 24 hours, but different pace. That's why in Bhagavatam, in the third canto, it is mentioned that the minute or muhurta, the word muhurta means not minute. It's that very auspicious moment. So many thousands of minutes, hundreds of minutes down. Below that also there is something called nimesh. The moment can be divided into that. And one can live in that nimesh also. On earthly planet, for us to live on moment is also not possible, but there is a minimum we can go. But on other planets, higher planets, superior planets, the moment also is divided into smaller portions, and one can live. One can live, in that smaller portion, that nimesha, murta, nimesha. That's why even in the Sanatana Dharma, there's something auspicious ceremony to take place, we say muhurta is going, muhurta. No, that's muhurta. That's the point. And then below that is nimesha. So Kāla, time, has got assistance from swabhava, one's own nature, based on one's own actions. The samskara that we receive, the kama, the desires that we produce because of our svabhava and samskaras, and the karma, the actions that we perform based upon it, with the interactions of the modes of material nature. These are the systems. Swamahi dvastamo mahibhir murtimadir murtimadbhir upashitaha. So, by the time factor, Kāla means by the time factor, Svabhava with our own nature, samskaras with the reformation that we have received, Kama, the desires that we produce, karma, the fruitive action that we perform because of the desires that we have, the guna, the three modes of material nature, adibhi, and by all others. Swamahi vista mahi bihi madbihi, meaning whose own independence was subordinate to the potency of the Lord. These are all servants of the potency of the Lord. They were worshipping. Murti madbhir upasita. Upasita means being worshipped. Okay. Now I would like us to read this verse, translation and the purport by Prabhupada. Okay. So what we've done so far is that based upon our discussion, now we have understood how our own nature is influenced by time, previous lives, all those things. You know? How the current reformation that will take place in this body at the moment affects our nature, helps change our nature. How this affects our desires, and how when the desires are affected, our actions are performed accordingly. And all this with the interaction of the three modes of material nature. So if you become Krishna conscious, as I said, the child is born as ignorant, in complete ignorance. So they have to be given reformation, training by those who are the elders. And depending upon the child, how much they accept it, their actions are performed with the thinking. So Krishna consciousness is that vital education which is needed to all living beings, so that we understand how the time factor functions on us and how we can change our actions. Because without this reformation, our desires will run wild. And because the desires run wild, our actions run wild. And we are completely enamored under the three modes of material nature. Yeah. So I think it is time now we can have nice reading from Srila Prabhupada's purport, you know. Okay, I'll just share. No volunteer.
Prabhuji, I
You
can
your
read.
mother would like to read?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'll give you this now. We'll start with this. It's a very, very wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada, you know. Right.
Prabhuji, I can
Okay, can you
yeah.
see Srimad Bhāgavatam?
Yes, I can see now. Yes. Should I start?
Yes. Please read the verse and then continue. Thank you.
Kāla svabhava samskaro kama karma gunadibhi swamahi dvasta Swamahidvastamahibhir Murtimadbhir upasitaha. Kal by the time factor, Swabhav, one nature, own nature, Samskara, reformation, Kam, desire, Karm, fruit of action, Guna, the three modes of material nature, Adhibhi, and by others, Swamahi Dhvastamahibhi, whose own independence was subordinate to the potency of the Lord, Murti Madhvi, possessing form, Upasitah, were being worshipped. By the time factor, own nature. Should I read only the English equivalents?
Yes, please.
By the time factor, own nature, reformation, desire, fruit of action, the three modes of material nature, and by others, whose own independence was subordinate to the potency of the Lord, possessing form, were being worshipped. Then Lord Brahma saw that Kal, the time factor, Swabhav, one's own nature by association, Samskar, reformation, Kam, desire, Karm, fruitive activity, and the Gunas, the three modes of material nature, their own independence being completely subordinate to the potency of the Lord, had all taken forms and were also worshipping those Vishnu murtis. No one but Vishnu has any independence. If we develop consciousness of this fact, then we are in actual Krishna consciousness. We should always remember that Krishna is the only supreme master and that everyone else is his servant. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Bhritya. The one, even Narayan or Lord Shiva, everyone is subordinate to Krishna. Shiva Virinchi Nutam. Even Baladev is subordinate to Krishna. This is a fact. Ekale Ishwari Krishna Ara Sabha Bhritya Yare Yaiche Nachaya Se Teiche Kare Nritya. One should understand that no one is independent, for everything is part and parcel of Krishna and is acting and moving by the supreme desire of Krishna. This understanding, this consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudradi Devateha Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavedruvam. A person who considers demigods like Brahma and Shiva to be on an equal level with Narayan must certainly be considered an offender. No one can compare to Narayan or Krishna. Krishna is Narayan and Narayan is also Krishna. For Krishna is the original Narayan. Brahma himself addressed Krishna, Narayanas Tvam Nahi Sarvadehinam. You are also Narayan. Indeed, you are the original Narayan. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Verse 14. Kal, or the time factor, has many assistants, such as Swabhav, Samskar, Kam, Karma, and Gun. Swabhav, or one's own nature, is formed according to the association of the material qualities. Karanam Gunasango Sad Asad Yoni Janvasu. Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 13, Verse 22. Sat and Asat Swabhav, one's higher or lower nature, is formed by association with the different qualities, namely Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. We should gradually come to the Sattvagun so that we may avoid the two lower gunas. This can be done if we regularly discuss Srimad Bhagavatam and hear about Krishna's activities. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 18. All the activities of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning even with the pastimes concerning Putana, are transcendental. Therefore, by hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, the Rajogun and Tamogun are subdued, so that only Sattvagun remains. Then Rajogun and Tamogun cannot do us any harm. Varnashram Dharma, therefore, is essential, for it can bring people to Sattvagun. Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kama Lobhadayash Chaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 19. Tamogun and Rajogun increase lust and greed, which implicate a living entity in such a way that he must exist in this material world in many, many forms. That is very dangerous. One should therefore be brought to Sattvagun by the establishment of Varnashram Dharma and should develop the Brahminical qualities of being very neat and clean, rising early in the morning and seeing Mangala Aratrika, and so on. In this way, one should stay in Sattvagun, and then one cannot be influenced by Tamogun and Rajogun. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschai cheta eter anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 19. The opportunity for this purification is the special feature of human life. In other lives, this is not possible. Such purification can be achieved very easily by Radha Krishna Bhajana, devotional service rendered to Radha and Krishna, and therefore Narottam Das Thakur sings Hari Hari Vibhale Janam Gonainu, indicating that unless one worships Radha Krishna, one's human form of life is wasted. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 7. By engagement in the service of Vasudev, one very quickly renounces material life. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement, for example, being engaged in Vasudeva Bhakti, very quickly come to the stage of being nice Vaishnavas. So much so that people are surprised that Mlekhas and Yavanas are able to come to this stage. This is possible by Vasudeva Bhakti. But if we do not come to the stage of Sattvagun in this human life, then as Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hari Hari Vibhale Janam Gonainu, there is no profit in gaining this human form of life. Sri Veera Raghav Acharya comments that each of the items mentioned in the first half of this verse is a cause for material entanglement. Kal, or the time factor, agitates the modes of material nature, and Swabhav is the result of association with these modes. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Bhakta Sane Vasa. If one associates with bhaktas, then one's Swabhav or nature will change. Our Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give people good association so that this change may take place. And we actually see that by this method, people all over the world are gradually becoming devotees. As for samskar or reformation, this is possible by good association. For by good association, one develops good habits, and habit becomes second nature. Therefore, Bhakta Sane Vas, let people have the chance to live with bhaktas. Then their habits will change. In the human form of life, one has this chance. But as Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hari Hari Vibhale Janma Gonainu. If one fails to take advantage of this opportunity, one's human life is wasted. We are therefore trying to save human society from degradation and actually elevate people to the higher nature. As for Kam and Karma, desires and activities, if one engages in devotional service, one develops a different nature than if one engages in activities of sense gratification. And of course, the result is also different. According to the association of different natures, one receives a particular type of body. Karanam Guna Sangosya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasi. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 22. Therefore, we should always seek good association, the association of devotees. Then our life will be successful. A man is known by his company. If one has a chance to live in the good association of devotees, one is able to cultivate knowledge, and naturally one's character or nature will change for one's eternal benefit.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Just read this verse again. Kāla svabhava samskara kama karma gunadhibhi swamahi dvasta mahibhi murtimadbhir upashitaha. Then Lord Brahma saw that Kāla, the time factor, svabhava, one's own nature by association, samskara, reformation, kama, desire, karma, fruitive activity, and the gunas, the three modes of material nature, their own independence, being completely subordinate to the potency of the Lord, had all taken forms and were also worshipping those Vishnu Murtis. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you very much, Mother. Hare Krishna. So, as we conclude today's discussion, we'll just quickly recap. We started off with the instructions and the mood of Srila Prabhupada of teaching, bringing Vrindavan to the whole world. And for Srila Prabhupada to say that everything is manifested, hundreds of temples, thousands of disciples all over the world. What separates is time? The same mood Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj manifested just before departure, saying one day we'll meet again. What separates us is only time. We discuss how different philosophers since ancient history are trying to understand time, define time. What is it? Why does time exist? And why has it, from where has it generated? No, they cannot perceive time. They couldn't do it. We can all perceive time, we discussed. We can experience everything around us and in us also. Time element does not affect in the spiritual world. We discussed that. And then we raised the question, we had a nice discussion and debate on the point that why time is when time is equal to everybody. So is time static or dynamic? We saw different angles of it. All of you very wonderfully engaged in these points, very valid points. We gained from each other's knowledge, And then we discussed about how 24 hours, people perceive things 24 hours differently. We also discussed, as we were discussing the discussions of our devotees, that as living beings with different bodies, even their few hours are different 2 hours. 24 hours is too much for them. The whole life finishes by then. We also discussed how other superior living beings, their 24 hours would be very different to us, which we see. Their 6 months, their 6 months is their 1 day, 12 hours over 6 months. And their 24 hours is about 1 year. So that's why we saw how Bhagavatam talks about grading and differentiating the time factors also, coming up to Nimesha and lower than that too. Then we discuss about, give my example, how for children, when we're a small child, time goes slow. When you grow up, time goes fast. Be careful. Now suddenly, we are already 15 days over in the 2023. Will be no time 2 months will be over, no time 6 months will be over, and no time people will be having drinking and celebrate 31st December 2023. And then a happy new year for 2024. Wish new year brings you joy and happiness. Every year same thing, every year there's miserable. That's why we are wishing for new joy. We discuss about the infinity of time and about the memory, how it is lost. How we took example of our own families, with the generations, everything is lost, completely lost. So even when we have to do a pinda, when our parents or somebody passes away, and you have to do this shraddha, you have to make the list of people, devotees, of family members who have died. And you may not even know, you have to ask around. So those who are close to them, what were they, how were they, all gone, finished, nobody remembers them. But he's going to come for us too, same way. whole world like this. We're very proud of us, proud of our likes and dislikes, proud of our family members. 1, 2, 3rd generation, 4th generation, nobody remembers anything. But for us, in this depressing scenario, it's not depressing because our object of love and worship, Krishna, says, I am the time. He says, Kalos me. First word, he explains the point. Kalos, Kala asmi. I am time. Loka Kshayakrut, destroyer of the worlds. Full stop. That is giving us pleasure. You know? And then with those points in mind, we see how the parampara continues, how this knowledge which we have gained from Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, this has been treasured. And the same was then informed to your tutors, so these devotees, who are now in their own rights, preachers. You know, they've got teams under them. And they have delivered this knowledge to you. And we hope and pray that you will deliver this knowledge to your people whom you come in touch with, including your own family members. You know, and this parampara continues, this parampara system. And then we came to the actual verse where Kāla and subordinates, Sabhava. We discussed about Sabhava, one's own nature, how it affects, how Kāla affects one's own nature, how time, Kāla means time, affects one's own nature, and how the nature samskaras affect one's own reformation, good behavior effects. With these two affects our kama, desires, and with the desires, our karma, actions are affected. With the guna adibihi, with the modes of material nature, interactions of this. So we have to remain in the higher modes. We study Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Prabhupada insists upon living in the higher modes, not lower modes of material nature. And very wonderfully describes in the Srimad Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, all the different points. And he says, time has many assistants. And they are these. What are they? Kāla, Svabhava Samskara, Kama Karma, Gunadivihi. So with Kāla, there are 6. So Kāla, assistants are 5. Always remember this and become intelligent and dheer. You will see the whole world is moving around, but we as devotees with this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we remain static. We remain unaffected. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. This is what I understood in my preparations for this verse. There are some other points, but you all get such nice intensity. It was very, very wonderful. Thank you very much. Now I have to rush a bit fast. We've got about 4 minutes. If you have anything to say, any questions to ask, please feel free. We can finish the discussion now. We had wonderful discussion. Hare Krishna. Okay, yeah, I think we have asked, it was asked. What are you to say? You have said. We'll wait for 10 more seconds. If you'd like to say something, share your points. Very wonderful. We can continue. With this kind of points, I would like to actually ask, what did you pick up? One thing you picked up, because it's a very important discussion. I always do that, but it'll take a bit of more time. We'll go over past 8 o'clock time. It's a bit late. So just hope and pray you'll pick up something from this, Yeah. We'll wait for 10 more seconds and then we can complete our discussion. If nobody has anything to say. Okay. So do you want to say something or was it just punished? All right. So whose turn is it today now to sing Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us? It's not my turn,
It's
I'm
my
sure.
turn, Prabhuji.
It's my turn, Prabhuji. I couldn't see you in the screen. Who said? Excuse me. Was it Shubhadra or Navina?
Yes. It's me, Subhadra.
Shubhadra said, oh, Shubhadra. कैसे ठीक है आप?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Very nice, very nice. Okay, now sing very nicely with actions, okay? So 1,
Yes.
2, 3, start.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us. We have learned some real good stuff. Maharaj, we have learned one thing. And today for you we will sing. And if our room is clean, then our mind is clean. If our mind is clean, we can do anything. If our room is dirty, then so are we. But if we are dirty,
And if we are dirty,
we're not happy. Wasting time is the greatest crime. Because wasted time means a wasted mind. If your wealth is gone,
so best use your time.
so best is your time when you're in your prime. And your whole life will be sublime. If our wealth is gone, then there's nothing wrong. But if your health is gone, then that's a different song. If your character dies, then the world will cry. Only saintly behavior, that humanity thrives. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You must always remember Krishna and never forget him too. But how are we to practice this with so many things to do? That is the greatest question. And here's the greatest clue. You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you. So listen very closely and make your thinking sharp. Let's learn how we can live in books so Krishna won't depart. Is something due tomorrow? Finish it today. Whatever is due today, do it now. Don't delay. Whatever work we're given.
Your friends might be lazy.
Your friends might be lazy or doing bad things. But you think again. Don't follow them. And you will win the end. Whatever work we're given, we do our really best. We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest. This is how to live, to work, contemplate. You'll learn to live this way, you'll see Krishna every day. To live, to work, contemplate. You'll learn to live this way, you'll see Krishna every day. When our time is up, you'll take us up above. You'll sing and dance with him with a heart full of love. You'll sing and dance with him with a heart full of love. So chant Krishna's name, His glories and His name is the only way this world will ever become sane. Chant His glories and His name is the only way this world will become sane. Now please ask this greatest question and find this greatest clue. You can only remember Krishna if Krishna remembers you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai His Holiness Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Prem Anande Hari Hari Bol. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Mahavishnu Goswami Niti Namine. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshkarine. Jai Hare Krishna. We had a very wonderful program today, and Krishna willing, we will see you next week, same place, same time. Till then, be happy, chant Hare Krishna. Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji. Thank you
you.
for
Hare
the
Krishna.
class.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram.